Business, your host BT, and all his guests. You'll never know who he'll have next. Shooting the shiznit, best little wrestling podcast in the business. Shooting the shiznit.
All right. We're live from 304 Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas. This is a STSPOD.CLUB production. Welcome to 5-minute time limit. This is a very important day in American history. And I'm glad you're spending it with me. And you get to talk for only 5 minutes. Our first guest for the night, a returning guest, who sent me a message in Facebook after last time and said I would not shut the F up. So the next time she's on here, I've got to be quiet for the 5 minutes. Stacy, you know how it works. I'm going to shut up. You get to talk for 5 minutes, and I'll tell you when to go, and then I'll kick you out. So here we go. Your 5 minutes has started now.
Did I ever tell you the story about when wrestling made me cry?
Wrestling made you cry?
It made me cry like a baby, and I was a grown-ass adult. This was in 2017, 7 years ago.
Math is hard.
I don't do math. I'm a social worker.
We're from Arkansas, too.
Yeah, well, whatevs. So anyways, it was at MACW in Jonesboro, and it was the group MVC, the Miracle Violence Corporation, that had Vic Vicious. What is Big Nasty Phil?
Big Nasty Phil.
Rotten Randy was the manager, and then there was Ray and Mike Anthony. So I was not privy to the information at all. And we hung out like every weekend, saw these people every weekend, but we didn't talk about wrestling, didn't care. So
they kayfabed you, huh? They weren't going to tell you what was happening.
100%. My first wrestling show was like, I was a child. It never crossed my mind that they would turn on Mike, and that was the first and only time wrestling has made me cry. I was not prepared.
You're about to cry right now. I can tell.
I'm still very bitter. I'm so bitter.
So what happened? They turned on Mike Anthony. Had no idea you're hanging around these people. Did you think they really turned against him?
Yeah. It shattered like the friend group, and like I was like, I'm never gonna see him again. It's done. It's over. Like I was not prepared, but I was so invested in the group, so invested in the story. And so that's when wrestling still was very magical, and is still very magical to me. So that's my story.
You see how I'm quiet and you still have half the time left.
Oh, fun.
And say you just bitched at me. That was like, I actually read that note to the wife, and I said, I don't know if Stacy's being for real. I said, that bitch better not be mad. That's what I said. And then I said, I'm sorry or something. And you said, oh, it's all right. It was like,
it's all good.
Within 10 seconds, it was okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
So you've been around the wrestling business in this area for a long time. Rector, Arkansas. We have someone sitting in the audience actually from Rector, Arkansas. And in Jonesboro in the area, and you watched Memphis Wrestling before on television, the new version that I'm part of.
Yes.
Who are the guys that you and you'll say the inner workings, and you do. But as a fan, who are the guys that the gun shows, the Mike Anthony, who are those guys that you would still be a fan of no matter if you didn't know the inner workings?
Locally, 100% Derek King. He is so charismatic. Love watching him work. Back then it was Stan Lee. It was Flash Flanagan. It was gosh, it was John Michaels. It was, you know, but I'm a big fan now. I love watching Mike Anthony work. Top notch. Love watching him work. I can get lost in it. Definitely a big fan. Big fan of always a big fan of Derek King. Always.
By the way, five-time wrestler of the year.
Man.
Just so you know that.
Yeah. True that.
And we told the story. The way we met was WrestlingRightOnline.com. Saw you in let me go ahead and tell everybody. I saw you in this little short black skirt. And I said, damn, she's hot. Who is that? And they pretty much told me it was none of my business. So, and is it true, Stacy, that you have 7 cats?
Yeah. I have 4 inside that I claim that I have vetted. I have 3 strays that I have inadvertently took care of. So, sure.
Stacy, I hate to tell you this, but your time is up.
Bye.
All right, I got to get rid of Stacy. Ed, my friend, you got 5 minutes, but this is your first appearance ever on a Shooting the Shiznit. And I think it's kind of been an inside joke with me and Lance. You don't know this, but I will say we need to get Ed on. And I've even mentioned it to you a couple of times, and then we just never do it. It's just like, what the hell happened? We didn't get Ed on. Ed, how did we meet? Because I think I remember, but go ahead and tell me.
It's a good story. I'll kind of spend some time back here. Last time you did this, I really wanted to be on. I was not able to. Glad to be here tonight. The whole setup's fantastic.
Awesome.
I want to say it was one of the Facebook groups before I was watching all the Memphis things, obviously. And then I just kind of connected with you guys into similar things that I was. And we just started kind of popping around that way. Either Twitter or Facebook groups got us going. You may know a little more specifics than I would.
That is, I met a lot of people. It's really strange, but I met a lot of people through the Cool Kids group from other parts of the country. If you're watching this, we do Cool Kids MMA and Wrestling group. You can search it in Facebook, but you have to ask to be in it. You have to answer a couple of stupid questions. But I was on Conan during the very first things of Conan doing his show. I was on like 3 or 4 times where we talked about, and I thought you were part of that. Did you ever do that?
Never did anything with Conan's pod.
Okay, all right.
Wouldn't have been that.
And you've been a listener for the Shooting the Shiznit for, God, you're the OG for the Patreon member. You're the very first member of our Patreon. Right. And you've been that member ever since we were there. So, by the way, you got a Southern accent too. Anyone ever tell you that?
I get that a whole lot. Everybody thinks I'm like from the deep South. I get Mississippi a lot, but yeah, for being in West Virginia, of course, we're Southern accent, but everybody thinks I'm farther south than that.
Awesome. And you have become a big fan of Memphis Wrestling. Tell me why you like Memphis Wrestling so much.
Yeah, so number one, I'm probably one of the few non-area guys that stick with it as far as that goes, which is a good thing in my opinion. But the old Memphis stuff holds up to this day. So I just always kept track of that. And then once the new versions kind of came in and out, just the storylines alone, fast pace, a little more rougher than some other promotions. So that's kind of a selling point to me. I think it mixes and matches a lot of styles. I
find it just goes by so quick.
It does, 100%.
And we don't always agree on the stuff that happens, but it's just one of those things where. I take if you listen to Patreon, I will be a little bit more critical about it, but people didn't understand. And if you're listening to this, I provide content for Memphis Wrestling. It's not my job to shit on a product that I provide content for. A lot of people's like, you're not being honest. Well, yeah, I'm being honest because I'm enjoying what's going on. And 194 episodes coming up this Saturday. I'm going to try to do some research on that because there's some I think that's more than Power Pro. I might be wrong,
Yeah.
but I think that it's coming close to more than Power Pro episodes. I don't know. I do think Memphis Wrestling one time celebrated 1,000 episodes, but that would be a lot of years combining everything together. But I think that almost 200 episodes is a big deal.
So it may not be soon. Do you plan to get back to a show anytime soon there? Or is that tough to do for your schedule?
It is kind of tough to do for my schedule, and then I'm a huge football fan, NFL fan. So during that time, I don't do it. But I hate to do it, but I may be going to. I hate to go down on Sunday because it gets spoilers, and I don't like spoilers. I like watching the show as is.
Right.
But I may. There is an opportunity there for me to go down and help out and just be part of the show. And I'd be stupid to say that it wouldn't be one of my dreams to sit there on Memphis Wrestling, side by side with Dustin and doing some commentary or something, just to say I was on Memphis Wrestling. So since I grew up watching it, been a fan since 1978, and I still have to pinch myself when I say I'm part of it now. And Dustin kept on saying, you're part of it. You're part of it. And I was like, no, but I finally have realized, I guess I am part of it.
You're in. You got to give yourself more credit. And I wish I was a little closer to Memphis because that whole atmosphere, I know I would love. I've only been to Memphis once, but obviously hadn't been to the studio. That's right up my alley.
They're nutty, man. They are nutty, and they do that every time. They do tailgating and all that kind of stuff. All right, man. I hate to do this to you, Ed. We'll come on again sometime.
I enjoyed that. Have fun tonight.
Hey.
See you guys.
All right. I got to move in. It's the Duchess. Duchess, your 5 minutes has started. I want to say what we did last time. You're one of the return guests.
I am.
And I appreciate you coming. And I reached out to you today, and I just came up with the idea on a fly.
Okay.
On the fly. And I was like, well, we'll make the Duchess a regular guest on the podcast, and we'll give her some homework.
I am.
By the way, you got some homework, and you're an old school wrestling fan. You watched it back in the day.
It was WWF. Yeah.
WWF. Yeah. And you've never watched any modern wrestling. It's not something you turn on and say, well, I just turned it on and I watched it. No, you don't even do that. I've got some friends that do that. They just accidentally turned on wrestling.
I've clicked by and seen a couple episodes. And I'm like, I'm like, that looks like fun. And then after a minute or two, I change it.
Gave you a match from last night. That's how quick we are.
I didn't realize it was last night.
Monday Night Raw, the main event, Fatal 4-Way. Well, we had Damian Priest, Seth Rollins, Dominic Mysterio, and Sheamus. And then we had an appearance from Bronson Reed coming down.
He's a large man. He's a big
very large man. So talk to us about it. What did you think?
Oh, it was fun. It was definitely entertaining. You know, it's like a soap opera, right? So it's one of those you could walk away from it, and the players may change, but it's the same story. Really, good guy, bad guy, the sneaky coming up from behind, or like the double team, or like, that kind of thing. And it's fun. It's entertaining. So I will say my eldest daughter got into wrestling for a little while, and Sheamus was one of her favorites. So when he popped on, I'm like, oh, that guy, because he's so milky white.
Yes, very white.
Hair.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, he's glowing in the dark.
Hey, don't talk about being white.
Hello. I mean, look, I got Irish babies. They're glowy. They look like him. So without the ginger hair. But it's fun. It was I couldn't believe the guy, I forgot his name. I actually have it playing again in the back. The real slim guy in the white pants. Dominic, yeah. He's so skinny. Like, how is he a wrestler? Like, I'm looking at the other guys he's going up against. I'm like, that doesn't seem legit. He's so little.
Well, you came from an era where the big guy was a big deal. It's the Hogan. Now Piper was a normal sized man.
I love Roddy Piper. He was
he was a normal sized man,
Mhm.
but the other guys, were just bigger than life. Now
Yeah.
it's a
They're
little
massive.
different. It's all
They're
about
massive. Yeah.
the story. If you
Yes.
in this Dominic Mysterio, his dad is Rey Mysterio Jr. So you're looking at a history there.
Mhm.
What about the big guy, Bronson Reed? He's jumping all over the place.
Oh, it's
breaking a
it's
table.
impressive. I mean, I don't take away, I don't watch it, but I don't take away the athleticism that's behind it. It's still incredible to watch these big dudes like leap off the top rails or just go flying into the ring. They're still picking people up. It's not, they're
you're
big guys. It's impressive. I'm
At
always
least you're not
enjoyed
going
it.
to say the words that John Domingo, who's your co-host, told me, a guy who's been around the wrestling business or been in the wrestling business since
Mhm.
about 91 or a little bit earlier, has told me, those guys get hurt sometimes. I cracked up. I should have put that on as a
I
sound
feel like
drop.
they do though. I mean, of course
Yeah,
you
they
would.
do. They
They
do.
get hurt. There's no way that you don't not get hurt. I mean, there's
Well,
accidents all the time, you know?
right. When I was in the business, I was a manager, so they would punch me and I would fall off the ring. So I was falling off the ring and hitting the ground and thinking, "Oh, why am I doing this?" I ended
Ow.
up getting some skateboard knee pads. They were real thick plastic. And so when I would bump off the ring apron. I would slide on them, but it didn't hurt as bad.
No, it's not gonna cripple you. Yeah,
But I did it for 5 years, and I have knee problems. I cannot see how people do it for as many years as they do, and they can even walk. So.
Oh, it's impressive, but I can understand. I mean, and again, reflecting back on like,
Oh, I'm sorry to do this to you. I'm sorry to do this to you. It is over. Your time is up.
Hey.
In from the studio audience. So let me
Woo!
get started. Woo! My old buddy, Steve Crawford. And Steve, you've been on the show before. We told our story. We spent this summer together. It was fun.
It was on the beach with the bath oil and everything.
Yeah. Hey, don't be kayfabe. We did spend some time together this summer. It was fun to see you again. And you and the wife made fun of me for marking out for Downtown Bruno. So
hey, I marked out for Downtown Bruno too. So
I had a great time. He's just always so fun to be around and to listen to. You can hear the stories on the podcast and stuff. You can hear all kinds of stuff. But when you're standing there right with him, he'll tell you things that you can't even repeat. You're just like,
oh, wow.
Oh, okay. Okay, you got it.
We need to go have dinner with Bruno. We need to set this up.
Oh, yeah.
Like the old movie Dinner with Andre or whatever.
Yeah, we do. He would do that. He would. He promised me in Evansville he's going to take me out to eat when he came to Jonesboro, but they went out to eat at a whole weird time, and I didn't want to stay there at the event all the time. So what's up with you? You still do a podcast also?
No, not really. I mean,
not really.
Every great once in a while, I get invited on John McAdams' podcast or Ray Russell's podcast, but it's pretty infrequent. But I was thinking about when you had Stacy on, and she was talking about when wrestling made her cry. And it reminded me when I was a little kid, I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I have no idea where this wrestling came from. It was not Memphis Wrestling. And of course, this was during the era you only got like 5 channels on TV, right? So we had like a Cape Girardeau channel and like 3 Memphis channels and a Jonesboro channel. So they had this angle where the guy comes out and he's like a junior heavyweight champion, and he's got the broken arm, and he's like, I can't defend the belt. And the announcer's like, we haven't agreed about everything in the past, but it's really honorable for you to come out here and explain the situation. And then of course, like the other guy goes to stand on the scale, and then he hits him with the cast on his arm and laughs at him. And I'm a little kid. I think this is the most evil thing I've ever seen in my life. That this guy was pretending to be hurt and then hit another guy with a cast. And I for years I've been like, I wish I knew what that was and where it came from, but I have no idea. So
was there any way that it was ICW? Because I want to tell you, when my aunt, shout out to my Aunt Martha, she lived in Marmaduke when I was growing up, and we would go and spend a weekend. You know, my mom visited her sister. We'd go to Marmaduke, and I was just in total shock. There's an interview out there somewhere. I have not rewatched the ICW stuff, but I need to. It's up there on YouTube. But Randy Savage does an interview. Randy or Lanny does an interview where they talk about Lawler and Bill Dundee.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah, they used to do fake challenges all the time. They do it to Tojo, and then the other side of the territory, they do it to Robert Fuller and Ron Fuller and those guys. So that the old advertisements, it's like, you know, $5,000 to winner if Jerry Lawler shows up. It just, you know, and Jerry Jarrett thought it was the dumbest thing. Like you're just using your energy to promote these matches that are never going to happen.
And then they did.
Yeah, later on they did. But yeah, it was years before ICW. I certainly remember getting ICW, and I was watching some of that today. And people are always very sentimental about their old wrestling, you know.
Right.
So I mean, the production values on that are so bad, and the fans look like they're attending a funeral. Nobody's showing any interest in the matches whatsoever. And it's like, I'm just amazed they kept that thing alive for like 4 or 5 years. It's like, I
was the same way. I even thought back in the day, I thought it was the crap. I was just like, those guys aren't any good. Now with Savage and Lanny, and then you ended up having, you know, the clip that I remember seeing also from ICW was, I think, Ronnie Garvin beating the shit out of Andre the Giant.
That was from an old Southeast tape. Like,
but they showed it all the time.
Yeah, they showed it all the time. They used to show him, beating Bob Orton Jr. and different people from Southeast. They just took some of those tapes and they put those clips on ICW.
All right, Steve, stick around. You can do some Patreon, but right now, your time is up. All right, guys, thank you for joining us for 5-minute time limit. That is episode 2. We're going to do a quick commercial real quick, and then you stick around for Patreon.
Memphis Wrestling is hotter than ever. Join us live Sunday, November 17th. Boxing legend Butterbean is coming to Memphis Wrestling. Plus, we celebrate Milestone 200. Saturday, November 23rd, Memphis Wrestling returns to Ghost River Brewing Company on Main Street in Memphis. Tickets are as low as just $10. Plus, watch AEW Full Gear at Dave & Buster's in Memphis. Saturday, November 30th, don't miss Memphis Wrestling Stars of Tomorrow, featuring Wrestle Center coach Jonathan Gresham, one-on-one against Tim Bosby. Sunday, December 8th, AJ Francis returns to Memphis Wrestling for the Grind City Rumble. All tickets are on sale now. Get yours right now at memphiswrestling.tv.
Well, you guys know what I'm fixing to say. Same bad time, same bad channel on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there. And as everyone knows, everyone's got to know this, but now I love my mama. Well, it says we're